What is up, it's iCkEdMeL. Welcome back, and we finally have an update with Crystal and Kylen. This is the newlywed couple that was found deceased August 2021 at their campsite. Now, if you haven't seen my videos on this, definitely check out my playlist. You can watch the original story, which has the details that you need to know. I also spoke with the father twice on video interview, so check those out. This was a search warrant that was unsealed and released. The undersigned affiant investigator Nathaniel Franklin Whitney of Grand County Sheriff's Office, upon an oath or written affidavit subscribed under criminal penalty, declares that your affiant has reason to believe that on the persons described as blank, a white 27-year-old male born 9/1993, on the vehicles described as a teal 2009 Subaru Outback with an Ohio plate in the city of MOAB, County of Grand, State of Utah, there is now certain property or evidence described as any firearms, ammunitions, gloves, or evidence, and that said property or evidence was unlawfully acquired or is unlawfully possessed, has been used or is possessed for the purpose of being used to commit or conceal the commission of an offense, or is evidence of illegal conduct. Affiant believes the property and evidence described above is evidence of the crime or crimes of murder, conspiracy to commit murder, tampering with evidence, SA, or desecration of so-and-so. The facts to establish the grounds for issuance of a search warrant are: I am an investigator for the Grand County Sheriff's Office and have been employed by them since July 10, 2006. From the start of my employment until February 12, 2009, I worked in the Grand County Jail supervising inmates and maintaining a secure correctional facility. Since February 12, 2009, I have been a patrol deputy. During my employment as a patrol deputy, I have conducted or assisted with investigations including SA/R cases, witness tampering cases, several domestic DV cases, harassment, and protective order violation cases. I've also received training in basic and advanced cell phone data forensic technology and am able to examine cell phones and have knowledge on the uses and capabilities of cell phones. Since the 13th of January 2014, I have been assigned to the investigations arm of the Grand County Sheriff's Office, where I have since had advanced training in interview and interrogation techniques, death investigations as a medical examiner investigator, and forensic child interviews. I have also conducted and participated in several major crimes task force operations, including homicide investigations, financial crime investigations, drug distribution investigations, art investigations, suspicious death investigations, and illegal firearm sales. That's usually what they do. They'll give the person's experience and education. And so here it goes. On August 18, 2021, at approximately 11:20 hours, this would be 11:20 in the morning, I was dispatched to a campsite near the Sal Loop Road with a GPS location of. When I arrived on scene, I noted a blue Kia Sorento, a single camp tent, a makeshift rabbit shelter, and normal amenities for a long-term campsite. In a nearby creek, two female bodies were found. The bodies were identified as belonging to Crystal Turner and her wife, Kylen Schulte. Both women were undressed from the waist down. One had on a bra that was raised to expose her breasts. The other was dressed only in a tank top. After removing the bodies from the water, both were found to have multiple gunshot wounds to their back, sides, and or chest. These two women were reported missing on Monday, 8/16/2021. While processing the scene, law enforcement was told that Kylen had mentioned to her friends that if something happened to them, that they were murdered. Kylen had went on to say that there was a creepy man around their camp and they had been intimidated by him. Kylen and Crystal were reported to be last seen at Woody's Tavern. Bar security footage shows them at the bar with video taken the night of 8/13/2021 and leaving the bar at 20:30 hour approximately, which is 8:30 p.m. On the night of 8/17/2021, Deputy Palmer made a traffic stop on a teal Subaru Outback displaying an Ohio plate of blank and driven by a blank. Is originally from Ohio but resides in the MOAB area and has a Utah license. This person was so unnerving that the veteran law enforcement officer decided not to write the speeding ticket as he did not want to take his eyes off of this person. I asked the Deputy Palmer why he was so concerned about this person's actions. Deputy Palmer stated that blank acted oddly for being pulled over for speeding, almost a combination of euphoria and that he had been caught for doing something wrong. We were later told that this person has been seen around town and that he routinely sleeps in his vehicle. One party stated that she had to make this person leave her place of business as he makes unwanted advances towards women and makes them feel uneasy. And to give you guys a little time reference before we start this next part. So Woody's Tavern, them being at the bar, that was 8/13/2021. That was captured on video. 8/14, which is Saturday 2021. They believe this is when these two ladies were killed. Monday 8/16/2021, they're reported missing. Tuesday, this is when this at the time considered a suspect was pulled over. 8/17/2021. And then now we're to 8/18/2021, where they have this interview at the Moonflower. When Blank was interviewed on 8/18/2021 at Moonflower Market, his place of work, which is pretty interesting, I noted that Blank was very thin of build and tall, making a carotid artery close to the surface. Demeanor was similar to people that I have had interactions with who had untreated mental health issues. Blank would often make vague references when asked direct questions, stare vacantly at the person talking to him, and answer in non-committal ways. So I have to say that this is pretty interesting that both of these people worked in the same place, but maybe not apparently at the same time. It goes on to say, Blank was asked if he knew Kylen. He said he had seen her in the Moonflower Market regularly where he was currently working, but had never worked with her. When asked about his interactions with Kylen, he rambled about the state of interactions between two people. This portion here, I don't know if it was a grammatical error. It says Kylen was asked if all interactions with Kylen were good. I'm thinking they meant that this suspect at the time, if all his interactions were good with Kylen. And he replied, stated that depending on the day of the interactions had with other people, could be good or bad depending on people's feelings. I asked how would react to being rejected or scorned. Blank again rambled, but essentially stated that he would just experience it. I then asked if he had ever seen Kylen or her wife around town. Blank said that he did not know they were married. Blank went on to say that he knew that Kylen had a female acquaintance as he had seen them together in McDonald's when he went in to get some fries. This was concerning because Crystal had worked at McDonald's. Kylen and Crystal kept their van in the parking lot and often slept in the van. I asked Blank if he had killed Kylen and Crystal. He said he had not. I then asked if he had a problem with gay people. Blank said that no, he was open-minded that way, but that he was a straight man. He then rambled again, then concluded that he often didn't find women attractive. I asked if he had ever had any interactions with law enforcement. He stated he was stopped for walking with an open container when he was younger. When I asked about the recent law enforcement interaction, he said he had none. Blank was then asked about the traffic stop the night previous. He stated it was a good experience. When Blank was told that they were investigating the deaths of Kylen and Crystal, he swallowed but had no other outward sign of nervousness or surprise. He did not shift stance. He looked from the second investigator to me. His carotid artery did not pulse and his chest did not move quickly. The shifting of gaze was likely him gauging reactions and proximity, as is common in people who like to run. When Blank was asked if he knew his whereabouts for Friday night, Saturday night, or Sunday night, he could not give any times. Instead, he would travel to a spot that he often slept at, as it was away from people. Blank described the location that he would normally sleep at was 100 to 300 yards up the Loop Road from the MOAB overlook on a dirt road, and that he had left a blanket there. He had no one to corroborate his story or his location. I asked Blank if I had talked to other people on the mountain, if they would have seen his car other places on the mountain. Blank hesitated and said maybe because he messes around a lot. I asked Blank if I could search his car. Blank hesitated, then declined. As we left the market, we were informed that Blank was hired on Monday, 8/16/2021, that he did frequent the Moonflower Market, and while he had not had any issues with Kylen, but that Blank had given a different female cashier a red rose. Bro, if that's not creepy. And so 8/16 falling in with the timeline, that was the day they were reported missing. By that time, they were already killed. That was 8/14. They believe it was 8/14. And this guy's literally getting hired right after. And when I say like the creepy thing, I guess the red rose is not enough, but then just taking into context all the previous situations where this business owner had to be like, yo, you gotta go because you're making these advances and you're making women feel uncomfortable. Now we have these timelines and dates, and it's weird. I guess they would call it the synchronicities. And just also, I mean, the vibes that I'm getting from this report so far that I've read, it does sound a little bit creepy. And that's exactly the terminology that Kylen used, right? And so it says here, law enforcement located 2 blankets and a jacket at this GPS location. They observed what they believed to be blood on the jacket in the general location that blank had described. The location was essentially a gap in juniper trees without a fire ring or any other establishment. This location would cause Kylen and Crystal to pass it on their way to their campsite. While at the location, a severe thunderstorm hit the area as the sergeant and deputy collected 2 blankets and a jacket, fearing that the deluge would destroy the potential evidence. This location is 8.8 miles via road from the scene where Kylen and Crystal were found, but is less than 4 miles if you take a straight path. Blank's behavior, his inability to account for his whereabouts, and the fact that law enforcement observed and collected a jacket that may have blood evidence from the location that blank had mentioned makes it imperative that law enforcement explore this avenue of inquiry. Due to the mobile nature of the vehicle and the fact that blank is living out of his vehicle, it is likely that any evidence of the crimes committed would be located in the car. The car is currently located parked on the street near Moonflower Market and is being surveilled by law enforcement and will be held pending the outcome of this warrant. While observing the car, a female spoke with the deputy on that assignment. This female stated that she currently worked with blank and had worked with him in the past. The female stated that blank had claimed to be able to hear other people's voices. This female said that when she told blank of Kylen and Crystal dying, his reaction was somewhat indifferent, but with a small amount of shock. The rest of this is just formalities and them requesting for this, for the search warrant, and for also for it to be sealed. I mean, if you want to pause it at one point, this was to be sealed until 2/18/2022. And if you scroll further down, they list the items that were taken: 2 cloth hats and 1 long sleeve shirt. Now, the Office of the Grand County Sheriff, they did release this statement with regards to the evidence and the reason why they let this seal on this document expire. It says the Grand County Sheriff's Office recently allowed multiple sealed search warrants which had been filed in the initial days of the South Mesa double homicide to expire rather than extend them. These warrants relate to searches for various persons, locations, and databases in an attempt to obtain evidence related to the case. One of these search warrants referred to a blanket and a jacket owned by an individual seized from a campsite near South Mesa. Grand County Sheriff's Office allowed the seal on the search warrant to expire because forensics analysis determined that there was no related evidence on the items. The individual was ruled out as a suspect early in the investigation, and the individual was already well known to the MOAB community. We thank the public for their continued interest and due diligence. It says we also request that people be careful about sharing information on social media. Such information tends to be misinformed, inaccurate, and unhelpful to a criminal investigation. Call this number if you have any information. You guys tell me down below what you think about that. I guess it's like an update, but not really. I mean, it's kind of an update, but they're saying he's ruled out. Pretty suspicious. And this was a while back. We're just hearing about this now. This was way back initially when Crystal and Kylen went missing and then they were found. I think it also goes to show that there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that the public is just not privy to. Comment down below, let me know your thoughts. Please like, subscribe, turn on bell notifications. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves and peace.